Welcome to the Hunt Fish Travel Podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Carrie Z. Before we get into this week's episode, I'd love to remind you that the all-new SpyPoint Flex G36 is available. The new camera takes amazing 36 megapixel photos, optimized connectivity, and improved battery life over the original Flex. So I can't wait to get my hands on one of these bad boys and set it up and see what kind of video and photos I can take. As always, this episode is brought to you by Montana Decoy. I was out turkey hunting over the weekend. Well, I wasn't turkey hunting because I didn't have a tag, because I do a tag for the week I'm in Greece, because that's super fun and helpful. But we were trying to get Aaron his first turkey. So we were tromping around in western Wisconsin, had zero luck, but I was having fun setting up those Montana decoys. God, they're beautiful and they're perfect and they're so easy to transport. You just squish them together and put them in your pack. So if you are looking for some high quality turkey decoys, man, check out Montana Decoy because they are awesome. And of course, this episode is brought to you by Costa Sunglasses. They are the only sunglasses that I wear. They're such a big friend of the show, and they're doing great things. Some of their initiatives are just incredible. And I can't wait to interview some of the folks about tarpon initiative and just even tarpon fishing. Oh, I can't wait for this summer. Here is part 2 with Dan Murff, the representative from Wintershoek Safaris. Go back and listen to part 1 if you haven't yet already. It's amazing and chock full of information. And here is part 2. So let's talk a little bit about the logistics. Go ahead.
I guess that answered your question about not hunting a package or
yeah.
I kind of get long-winded sometimes.
No, that's
I enjoy
okay.
talking
No, that's okay. Totally okay. I don't mind at all.
Okay. All right. The logistics of getting the trophies back. And yes, there are stories out there, and that's the reason that once I get a phone call or I get a request about a hunter, I ask them, I said, do you want any references? And some do, some don't. Some already know about us. Some of them's heard about us. In fact, I got a call this past Friday from a gentleman that I went to high school with. He's a year older than I am. And he said, I want to hear about your lodge. I've heard about your company. And I want to hear about you, and I want to hear about everything. So, we spent a couple of hours on the phone talking, and but I always ask them, do you want references? Or
right.
I can supply you with references if you want, to check us out. Most of them have already heard, like I said, and don't really need them. But, some do. It may be their first trip over. It may be they're just now getting into big game or dangerous game hunting for South Africa, and they do want to check us out. So that's fine. And we've got printed material that I mail out. I've got copies of promotional videos that I can send out, to people. People can come to the Safari Club show. The next one's going to be at January 2024. But the main thing is to just check out who you're talking to about going to hunt, and check their references, and make sure that they are an established and reputable type company. And same way with the export companies. As far as holding, I can't think of any time that we have ever held a client's trophies. But the reason that would happen is if they have not settled up on their final invoice, and we hold the trophies until we get their final payment.
Sure.
For their hunt. And once that's received, we turn them over and ship them right away. It's usually you have to have an export permit, and you have to have an import permit, and those are handled usually by the hunter, or they can handle them. I've also handled the imports and the export permits to bring their game back in. the prices of having them shipped obviously has gone up since the pandemic, and also since the interest rates have gone up, but it's still not astronomical.
Sure.
You mentioned a while ago an elk hunt. I did an elk hunt back in the mid-'90s, and I think I paid $8,000 for it on a private ranch. Took a really nice elk. And I've had a couple of people call and want to know, where I did my elk hunt. And I told them, and that price right now is $14,000 to $16,000 for one hunt, for one animal. We've got the specials. Even with a customized hunt, you can go over there and hunt 5 animals, 7 days of hunting, and 8 nights for under 10, and include your taxidermy work. So that's how much difference it is in price right now versus the U.S. prices and surrounding countries in pricing.
That's nuts. That's crazy. It's so much money, but it's such a once in a lifetime thing, And I know people who save for years and years and years and years, and they go on that African hunt, and it is just the highlight of like their life, So
it all depends on who you go hunting with, and how you get there, and I like at least 6 months to prepare a person for his hunt.
Yeah.
I prefer, 9 months, and I love 12 months, to prepare everything. Now, there is some time period during those months that nothing, is being required, or me asking to send me the paperwork or send me a copy of this, send me a copy of that. But it gives everybody enough time to do it in a relaxed manner, to make sure that everything is checked off. I have a checklist for, gun permits, for the federal 4457 form, which is customs, to return your firearms back into the country. Because if you don't, and they check you, you stand a possibility of being charged an import tax for that rifle that you took over there with you and brought back, but you didn't have the proper paperwork. Yeah. So, I make sure that everybody's got everything they need to get into the country in South Africa and to depart South Africa and get back into the country here in the States.
Very, very cool. What kind of shots and stuff do you need? I know you need like extra shots to go to Africa, don't you? Like if I'm just going to Ireland, I don't need to get a bunch of shots, but what are the extra logistics that I might have to think about if I'm planning a hunt over there?
Depending on what country you go into.
Okay.
South Africa, there is no malaria. There's not any special shots. You don't need any special shots. If you haven't had a tetanus shot in 5 years, I would suggest and recommend a tetanus shot. But other than that, like I said, there's not any malaria there, so you don't need that. And that medicine makes you so blah, if you're not careful what you take. Now, if you're going to Zimbabwe, I would definitely recommend that for malaria. But that's part of my job too, is to advise, whatever medical situation you have as a person. There are companies that you can get medical insurance that if something was to happen to you, you used to get sick, you used to get injured, they'll send a plane and fly you out by yourself in a plane all the way from wherever you are back to your home city. And there'll be a doctor with you on the plane the whole 15 or 16 hours that you're flying. So, that's not necessarily something I bring up to everybody, but, it is in a lot of the information that we send out is, for trip insurance, get your own trip insurance, just in case something happens. You never know,
Yeah.
We had a pandemic, in 2019, Now what we did was we just rolled over their deposit money until the countries were opened up and we were back hunting again. And a lot of people did that. I think I had one hunter that didn't. He wanted his deposit back. We paid him his full deposit back. So, those are the kind of customer service tricks of the trade, if you want to call them that, get you to where, a Windsor Hook is in the hunting community. But, that's individual expenses that you can choose to participate in or choose not to.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I don't know. So I did another interview last week on a gentleman who wrote a book about hunting in Africa, and I don't know. You guys might be convincing me. Mike Arnold.
We're not. Did you say that we're not convincing you?
They are. You are. Between the two of you, you might be convincing me. You might be convincing me to go on to South Africa. So.
Well, I don't know who the gentleman is, but I can assure you that if you go with us, you'll be treated like a queen. Yeah. And we have a chef at every lodge. The food, I hesitate to say this, but you will gain weight while you're over there because the food. And the hunting is superb. We have. The owner, Vian, is on many boards in South Africa, as far as the WRSA, which is the Professional Hunters Organization of South Africa. He's involved in that. He is his partner, Johnny, won the Professional Hunter of the Year 2 years ago. So, and I'm sure we'll have some more younger PHs that are coming up through. We had another gentleman that was a PH for us at that time. He won 3 years ago the Professional Hunter of the Year. So all of our guides, we call them guides over here, but over there they're professional hunters. Our staff is handpicked. We have a staff that's in the office in Kimberly that orchestrates everything on that side, and I help them orchestrate everything on this side for a perfect flight. The majority of the hunters that I book, I go with just to make sure that they get everything goes smooth, and I'm there to facilitate an argument or something that the hunter wants specifically to do, such as have dinner out on the dunes. We call them dinner on the dune or cocktails on the dune, and it's a sundowner. You go out there at sundown, and they bring the candles and the barbecue pits, and they'll cook us
so cool.
Whatever, and they'll serve cocktails. We have bartenders. Full time. That's all they do is prepare drinks and make sure everybody's happy. Some of the lodges just has an open bar where you can fix your own drink at your own strength and as often as you want without being looked at funny. Oh, that's your sixth. But who's counting?
Yeah.
But
Yep.
But I just like, first of all, just the beauty of the country. Everything's clean. The grounds are kept clean. You don't see a bunch of tire ruts, across the grass plains. We're asked to try and stay on the roads as much as possible, to keep the grass, because that's what the animals eat is the grass, obviously. Plus, we do some supplemental feeding when the rains decease down and there's not as much grass there for them to eat, because we want our animals to be healthy. We want them to be in excellent condition. And, of course, our PHs, our ranch hands, our ranch managers are always out in the field looking at the game, looking at the condition of the game. And if the quality of the game, in their opinion, starts to go down, we have our own capture teams that we can go to our breeding areas and capture mature game that has passed their breeding time in life and bring them, to the lodges to be hunted. And that way we can keep our game at the highest possible quality where other ranches can't do that. Wow. And, okay. Once again, that's, conservation, keeping the game as healthy as possible, keeping the herds, the plains game are pretty much herd type animals. Even in the herd animals, once they hit a certain age, the young bulls will kick them out. And, those are the ones that we like to hunt. It's not the young bulls that we go after. It's the old, expired bulls that have passed their prime of life, and it's time for them to go. Yeah.
Yep, I get it. I think that's a good point to make, because I think that a lot of people might have heard what you just said and been like, oh, it's just like one of those high fence ranches, but it's not. It's the same hunt. No. And in many ways, like you said, it's just furthering the conservation effort anyway, so.
Well, there's two stories, to every side of everything. And if you get up into Zambia and Zimbabwe, Botswana, Tanzania, there is no high fences. But they control their poaching the best they can. But there's more poaching in those countries than it is in South Africa. And that's what the high fence is for. It's not to keep the animals in, it's to keep the poachers out. Yeah. So, it is high fence. But the only time you're going to see that fence is when you go through it to get into a 40,000 acre field. Yeah,
it's not like high fence here where no. I get it. Yeah.
And those, some of those pens are used for breeding purposes. And then we have our own capture trucks, we have our own capture teams, we have our own capture company with helicopters and transport trucks. When I was there in September of last year, there was an operation going on at that lodge for I think it was 2 or 4. I was on one for 2 that they were shipping rhino to Namibia, and there are special requirements for animals to be shipped in. They had to be 16 inches of horn showing past the skin line. There was teams of vets that was there, not only our vets, but vets from Zimbabwe, Botswana, and other countries there that was observing. There was a college class of upcoming biologist students that was there observing and helping, with the capture. And I had 2 hunters there, and we got up to ride in the helicopter. Because basically they were through with the helicopter with the herding, and had darted the rhino already, and they were loading them at that time, and so we got to ride. It wasn't much of a ride, but it was like, hey, you ever been up in a helicopter in South Africa?
Nope.
On a game ranch?
I bet it's a very unique and spectacular experience.
It was one that, and these 2 guys were actually retired Air Force men, which had flown in helicopters of all types and sorts over in dangerous areas of the world, and to fly over and look at herds of rhino and herds of gemsbuck and herds of impala and things of that nature. Running from the helicopter was just, well, you see it on TV, but to do it in real life, that's it was an awesome experience.
Very, very cool.
And that's another thing that we do for our clients, is we go above and beyond what one would expect. I had no idea we were going to do that morning when we woke up and got in the truck, and we were going that way, and we could start we could hear the helicopter getting louder and louder because we were getting closer and closer. And I asked the PH, I said, where are we going? He said, we're going over here where Yvonne is doing a capture for 2 rhino. And he said, I talked to him last night. He said, y'all could ride in the helicopter if you wanted to. And, I mean, you could have seen these guys' face light up. That was, the hunters and the clients from the Air Force. They said, we can ride in the helicopter? I said, well, it sounds like it.
That's funny.
We got to go over and touch, the rhinos. We got to have our pictures taken with them. Of course, they were drugged and blindfolded, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We were never in any danger, but my heart was, it was a little pitter-patter there for a couple of times when he'd kind of snort, and, I didn't know what that was. Of course, there was girls there, from veterinary school in the local college of Kimberly, and of course, they were just standing there cool and collected, and I was almost running down the road.
That's hysterical.
My nephew came up to me. He put his arm around me. He said, I didn't see those girls run like you just ran. That's okay. Well, they're more experienced at this than I am. But, hey, I will get you back. Don't worry.
Oh, that's too funny.
So, but that's, we like to go a little bit beyond. I mean, we never put anybody in danger. We always ask, if you'd like to do it before it's done. And, but, it just, that adds something to someone's hunt, and I always try and sell it as a hunt of a lifetime, because there's also a quote that goes around that once you go, you're going to get bitten by the South African bug, and which means you will be back. Yep. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
I've never had a client that didn't go back.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's how we build our business is on referrals and people telling their friends how wonderful it is and what a good time and how good the trophies are and the food and the camaraderie, the beauty of the country. So, and it's not hard and it's safe, just like, we started out, our conversation with.
Totally. Yeah. Well, my goodness, that's a lot of information to take out of this interview.
And that's just the beginning.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to have to cut this into 2 parts anyway, because usually my episodes are like 30 minutes long, and we're bumping up against an hour. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll make a part 1 and a part 2 out of this episode. And then I'm like, and I need follow-up interviews with you, because I still really do want to interview you about hunting in Turkey, because that is absolutely freaking fascinating to me. So...
Okay.
Like the minute you get the tags or whatever, you let me know and we will set up an interview.
I check every week to see, if they've been issued or even if they're talking about it. And as of last week, my outfitter is saying they're not even talking at this point.
Oh man. Well, eventually they will. All right, Dan. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking time out of your schedule this morning to talk with us about hunting in South Africa. I will, of course, link to all these in the show notes at huntfishtravel.com. Looking at the schedule, this is going to air, hold on, let me look here, in about a month. So
okay,
I've got the next 4 episodes posted, and then yours will be after that. So I will tag you as soon as it goes live. I'll tag you on Facebook, and I'll send you an email notification as well.
Outstanding. I'll pass it along to my friends as well.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for coming on the show and taking the time to discuss this awesome topic.
Anytime. Be glad to do it again sometime.
Oh, yeah. Oh, don't you worry. I'll be hitting you up again. All right, Dan. I'll let you get back to your day. Thank you so much.
You as well. Have a good day.
Bye.
So long. All right. Bye-bye.